Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited that you're here today. I hope you're as excited as I am to share this information with you. My name is Erin Simonetti, and I'm a registered art therapist and certified health coach. And I wanted to bring holistic health and wellness to be able to share this information with you so that you can understand how nutrition can affect your mind and body because they're connected. Everything that we do, they're never separate, even though we try to sometimes separate it in our healthcare systems. So recently, I received my certification through the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute because I wanted to learn more about nutrition and my own personal journey of healing. And so, what's really nice about this program is that it is focused on real food and real science. So, I don't know about you, but I often found myself very confused and overwhelmed when it came to trying to find out what was good for me, what was not, what was nutritious. Because every time I looked online or was reading something, a lot of times it was ads and different things behind the information. They're trying to sell a product or they're trying to sell a type of diet, and with all the fad diets out there, I found it very contradicting. One would say that eggs are okay, another one would say that eggs are bad for you. And for me, I just want to eat well and understand why these things are good for me and what it's doing for my body. And I just often felt confused. So I hope that this information has some clarification and educates you so that you can make a better decision about how you want to begin your wellness journey. So, this course is broken down into four different categories. And this first one is going to be about traffic light eating. And the whole purpose of the traffic light eating is to help you better understand which foods are nutritious for you. So, it's not saying that you have to eliminate any foods, it's helping you better understand what is good for you, why it's good for you, and so that you can make those decisions in your day to day life about how you would like to eat to feed your mind and body. I wanted to make it easy for you because I wanted to make it easy to understand because I often too felt overwhelmed. Like a lot of it was gibberish to me. I didn't understand some of the details when I was looking at food labels or certain things about proteins or fats. And I just didn't understand why. All I knew is that some things were good for me, some things weren't. I didn't know how much I needed, not needed, or anything. So I'm trying to break this down so it's easy for you to follow. Please feel free to pause at any time if you want to take notes or to better understand something, so that way you can go at your own pace. All these videos are going to be 10 minutes or less. And I want you to be able to just take your time to figure out what is right for you so you can make these right decisions for yourself. So before we begin, I want you to think about what brought you here today. Are you interested in learning more about nutrition? Are you trying to understand how nutrition affects certain areas of your body? Or are you trying to work on your mental health, like anxiety or depression, or wanting to focus more? Are you wanting to understand what options are good for you in your wellness journey, what are not? Try to just think about what is bringing you here today. Now, I also included in when you registered, you have a handout for you. And this has some of the information that I'm going to be sharing today, but you also can take another notes on top of it. But I try to break it down for you so that's easy to understand. During this time, if you have any questions, I do have a personal secretary included in your handout for you to be able to write down any questions that you have during this time. And also, if you happen to have some random thoughts, that's where the exclamation point goes, where if you're deciding, oh crap, I need to feed my dogs before I leave today, or I need to do this and that, whatever it may be. So you can write it down and so you can get back to focusing on the material at hand. And I hope that that kind of makes it a little bit easier for you. At the end of this, if you have a handful of questions and you decide that you want to meet with me individually, I am available for consults by appointment. And we can sit there and discuss your questions in detail, or even maybe see what information works best for you. I am also available for pantry makeover. So if you're wanting to kind of tackle some of this information that you learn and be able to apply it at home, I would be happy to assist you in that. All of this is provided online so that you can, it makes it easy for the two of us to meet on our schedules and so on. So first, we're going to start with traffic light eating. So like I said, this is not meant to say that you can eliminate certain foods and so on. This is a system designed so you can focus on what foods are nutritious for you. It's on quality over quantity. And this is considered a continuum. So it's a sliding scale of different foods and what category they go. So the three main categories are green, yellow, and red. But I want you to think about it more as there might be some orange areas that are in between the yellow and red, or there might be some green, yellow areas that are in between the green and yellow. So really it's about finding out, the green is the foods that are most nutritious for you, and the red are the ones that have the least nutritional value or sometimes can do harm. So in the scale of that, food falls everywhere in between. So I'm going to help you to decipher which foods go where. So first we have the green category, and these can be a little bit more obvious, but really it's all fruit and vegetables. These are grown and not manufactured. They're high in nutrients. They're very colorful and usually can be eaten raw. Now, when it comes to this, also you might be wondering, okay, well, what about pesticides and chemicals that can be on different vegetables and fruit? Well, I even helped with having a little handout for you as well that talks about the Dirty Dozen Clean 15. And if you're not familiar with what that means, is the Dirty Dozen are all the fruits and vegetables that tend to be more dense in chemicals and pesticides when they're being produced. So these are the foods you're going to probably want to buy more organic, or make sure you're cleaning very well. Then there's the Clean 15. These are the foods that are not exposed as much to harsh chemicals, so that you can typically buy them more conventional. And I don't know about you, but organic foods can be very expensive. So this kind of helps you decide what you should preferably buy organic, or what can you buy more conventional. Then we have the yellow category. This is the area that tends to be a little bit more confusing. So the yellow foods are whole grains, so pastas, rice, bread, or tortillas. And I'm not talking about any type of whole food that you're referencing to in regard to multi-grain or anything like that. I'm talking specifically about whole grain. Then there's eggs and dairy, lean meats, chicken, turkey, red meat, nuts, seeds, legumes, fish, cheese, plain Greek yogurt, and healthy oils. And these are the foods that you want to eat in moderation. Now, I want to clarify, when I'm talking about yogurt, I'm talking about plain Greek yogurt. So if you happen to have any type of artificial stuff inside of it, or even strawberries in it, but if they're not fresh, then it probably will be in the red category, and I'll explain why. So in the red category, this is where you have mostly pre-made or processed foods. So that's where that, yogurt that has some stuff already in it, they might have some added sugar and so on, which would put it into the red category. Now, these foods are a little bit easier to understand what they are because they're typically processed foods. So this is when you have chemicals or additives added to your foods, things like cookies or cakes, candy, chips, white bread, things that are overly processed, sugary beverages, and processed meats, things like bacon, ham, hot dogs, and so on. So to give you a little bit of an example of a food that might be in all three different categories. So an apple would be considered the green category. Then you have apple sauce that it can be turned into. This is altered the state, and maybe you add a few things like cinnamon and so on, but this would change the way it's processed and eaten, the nutritional value. So therefore, it would be in the yellow category. Now, if you use those apples and put it into a apple pie, then that would be in the red category, because then you're adding other things that, like artificial sweeteners or sugar, things that will make it more processed, and therefore it's not as nutritious for you. Now, again, the red, it doesn't mean that you can't eat these foods. It just means that you want to eat it in moderation, maybe special occasions, and limit the amount of times that you're eating it, because it's not as nutritious for you, or there might even be some harmful things that it causes for your body. So now it's your turn to give it a try. And I want you to take a moment to find 3 items in your house and let's see which category they go in. So these are the 3 things I want you to think about once you have the 3 items. Decide which category they go in. And you might want to reference to the material that we just went over. Which category, green, yellow, or red, or maybe it's even an orange, whatever category you think they might go in. What made you choose that category? So, what are your reasonings behind it? And lastly, where is this food often found in the grocery store? So, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the green category foods are right in the produce section. So, right when you walk in, you see all the fruit and vegetables all in one area. That is where most of your green foods are going to be. Red foods tend to be in the center of the grocery store. So this is when you're going to have a lot of the artificial stuff because they're on the shelves. So there's a lot of different things put in it. It's maybe altered its state or added some artificial stuff into it. So therefore, that tends to be where they're stored, is in the center of the grocery store. So this is when you have the center aisles of any place that you're shopping. And then the yellow tend to be sprinkled along the edge of the grocery store. So this is where you have like your eggs or your milk, your meat. These are along the edge of the grocery store. That tends to be your yellow foods. So I hope that helps you kind of break it up a little bit visually, that when you are going grocery shopping, these are where these items tend to be. And where do you tend to shop? Do you tend to shop in the middle of the grocery store? Do you tend to shop in the produce area? Think about that when you're, reflecting back on some of the items that you have in your house. So let's do it together. Here's an example. I have right here some barbecue grilled chicken. Now, of course, if it was breaded, then you would know automatically that that would probably fall more in the red category. But what about just with barbecue sauce? Well, let's break it down. The chicken on itself, if you're baking it, are you adding anything on top of it? Are there any healthy oils or are there other things on top of it like sweeteners? If you're just adding some healthy oils and you're grilling them, then that would probably put it in the yellow category. Now, the barbecue sauce, it kind of depends on what is inside the barbecue sauce, but likely the barbecue sauce is in the red category. So this meal would probably be more like a yellow, or not a yellow, I'm sorry, an orange category with a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. So probably an orange area of type of food. So I hope that gives you just a small basis of what we went through today, because this is going to kind of sprinkle into some of our next categories. So please take your time when you are looking at this information. Go over this information, give yourself a few days to process it and apply it in your household, and then move on to the next category and then apply. So don't rush through this material. Sometimes less is more and just go at your own pace. So the next thing we're going to be tackling is how to read and understand a food label. And I don't know about you, but I always was looking at the wrong thing. So let's just see what it means to look at the food label. What are we looking for? What is nutritious for us when we're looking at the food label? So the helpful tools that you had from the handouts that I gave you in your packet is you're going to have the Clean 15 Dirty handout over here. And then you're also going to have, I broke it down to you, the different 3 categories. It has a lot of the examples that we had in the slides, and even the sliding scale on there. And there's actually some additional facts on there. I hope that it finds it helpful. And I also have a handout included that helps you kind of plan out your meals and decide as you're making your meals, which category of the foods are you choosing in your meals. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you can't eat things that are yellow or red category. It just means that the quantity or how many times you're going to be eating them, it's just not as nutritious for you. And the more nutritious food, nutrient dense foods that you eat, the more likely your body's going to register that it's getting the needs that it has. And it's also going to be able to register that it's been eating and you're going to stay full longer. So I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to talking with you in our next session.